And you've just heard Venus by Kohla, and I'm delighted to be joined by Kohla now. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. Big fan of yours, as you know. What can you tell us about Venus, which we've just heard?
Oh, Venus is one of the most extravagant songs that I've written and produced. It's a funny one because I knew exactly what I wanted when I wrote it, and I thought of um, how I wanted to produce it as well. So in a way, it came together really quickly, but just the nature of all of the programming for it, it took weeks and weeks for me to do it on Ableton. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, the production on it, as people will just have heard, is quite something. I've written down here expansive but intimate. So there's that kind of not a clash. That's the wrong way of putting it. But I think it's partly to do with your voice. But you've got this big production, but it's not overly produced.
Yeah, I'm super selective with what I put in, and a lot of the time it's putting things in and taking them out as we're
Right.
kind of refining it. Um, but yeah, it was definitely a challenge for me because I've always wanted to make a big orchestral piece like this, and I felt like I finally did it.
Absolutely. When I first heard it, I was a bit kind of like, "Wow, this is incredible." How did you even approach making it? What was the process to making this track in particular?
Yeah, so everything everything I write is on piano, the piano behind me.
Yeah,
Um, Occasionally I do write on guitar, but it's mostly piano. Um, and the way that I write is usually the same. It's just mostly led by vocal melody and chords below it and just getting that feeling right. Um, with Venus, I kind of wanted to expand on the kind of alternative soundscaping nature of it. So I was a bit more fluid in how I pieced it together, and I just kind of allowed the chords to change and the melodies to move around. Um, but yeah, it kind of formed on its own. Like most of my best work, I just feel like it kind of writes itself, and then um, for production, I'd say my strength is melody
right,
anyway.
right.
So um, orchestration for me is actually quite easy
Okay.
um, because it's just the instruments talking to one another and just making sure they're in the right place. For me, rhythm isn't as much my thing, but for obviously these new songs, um, it's orchestral, so it's kind of playing to my strengths, and then just kind of keeping the percussion quite minimal around it, just to allow the melodies to kind of bloom and yeah, do their thing. So
And I know collaboration's a big part of what you do. Are there other people involved that
yeah,
you?
yeah, uh-huh. So usually what I'll do is I'll write the orchestral parts and then I'll bring people in and I have someone to work with to record them, and just so I have a balance of both programmed and then real instruments layered on top, and just because I want to have that human nature to everything, and
Yeah,
especially with my voice it kind of needs that because I don't really like auto tune. And
yeah.
it's funny because I do work in an electronic space, but um, I am naturally more of an organic artist, I'd say. So
Yeah.
it's kind of getting that hybrid of both to function together.
And so you've released, this is the third single this year so far, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
With another one coming soon.
yeah. um, yeah, the fourth single is actually my favorite.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a really special song. It's coming out on the 30th of June and it's called Bound to You. Um, and it also kind of plays into the soundscaping that I kind of developed on Venus, but a little bit more folk.
Okay.
Yeah. Still like jazz melodies in there and orchestration. Some gospel harmonies as well. But it's, yeah, I like moving around each time and just taking different influences and showing different sides of what I can do. So, yeah.
That's interesting because the singles we've heard so far, that there is, you can tell that it's you that's doing them. There's no doubt about that. Is this moving towards another album, or what's the plan?
Yeah.
That is the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an album artist,
Yeah.
so for me, catalog is everything and storytelling is everything. So um, I do like to go away for a couple of years and build something and then share it and then go away again. So yeah, it's funny because we're on this second album treadmill, but I've got the third album in the back pocket now. So I'm always busy,
Yeah, yeah.
always making stuff. So.
And do you have a release date for the album, or is that still to be decided?
We do. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to
If
say.
it's a secret, then do not tell us. I can let people know later on. But yeah,
I think we will be announcing it with this new single because it's the lead single. But yeah, it's coming out at the beginning of November. So still quite a while, but we'll be still rolling out everything and just making sure each song has its little moment to shine. And then as we kind of continue, everything starts kind of clicking together more and making more sense as the songs come out. So it's exciting for me, for everyone to start to understand everything a bit more clearer. So
yeah. Do you carefully plan ahead in terms of releases, about how you're going to release all of those things?
yeah. I mean, I'm a type A personality, so it's in my nature. So yeah, all of last year, um, I was filming and then editing together and just, getting all of the visuals right. There's an oil painting for the album artwork, and I was doing that. And this is why everything takes a while to piece together, because also I don't have a team really. It's just me and my publicist Jen.
Yeah.
So it's all on me to get it right and to do it. So
But it's interesting talking about the visuals there, because when I think of your work, I can't separate the music and sound and the image and style as well. It seems to me that each are almost as important as the other. Is that fair to say?
yeah, I mean, so my background is a visual artist. I studied painting at the Edinburgh College of Art.
Right.
And within that, I also did some film and photography and sculpture. And in my last year, I was making music. So um, everything for me is just making art. And I guess the purpose of making art is just to make someone feel something about themselves and think about things a little deeper. So I guess for me, that's the purpose of each project, is just exploring a feeling and hopefully having that connection with the listener and the viewer. So
And does that kind of extend to Kohla yourself, if I can put it that way, as being a kind of the person I keep returning to is Prince, whose style, everything was thought about before he put it out there. And it seems to me you're kind of doing the same thing. You're making sure that there are, you're on top of everything before you present it to the public.
well, thank you. That's a big, that's a lovely comparison.
But you know what I mean? I mean, you've got such a strong sense of style. It's you do consider, not just the way you look, but the way the album covers look, the way that
Yeah.
any images that comes out looks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a perfectionist. And I think because I dedicate my whole life to making art, I need it to satisfy me, and I need it to be as good as I can make it. And I think each time that I do a project, I want to keep on getting better. So I think my whole journey through art school and then coming out and releasing the first album, I want to keep on putting more and more into it and thinking about things more and more. And, you know, maybe in a way it's a bit unhealthy to keep on becoming more and more of a perfectionist. But it's, yeah, there's a lot of thought and passion put into everything. So
because we're about 3 years on from the last album, is that right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you've changed as a musician over that period of time, or yes?
I mean, I think as a person, and you know,
And it's
I
all
feel,
linked. Is that
yeah,
what it is? Yeah.
yeah, I feel a lot more confident and relaxed in myself as well. And I think that's kind of reflected back in the music. And I think even with the listener and my audience, I think they can feel that too. It's nice having that with the listener, that I feel like I'm kind of growing with them, and I can put more into the songs, into the lyrics, and I feel like people kind of dig into my work and they enjoy that, like listening back a couple times and each time getting a bit more from it. So yeah, that's important to me.
Because you seem to have created a really close bond with your listeners.
Yeah, I think I'm just making emotional music kind of does that. And you know, there's a lot of different types of music in the world, and sometimes it's fun and it's pop. And I think for me, because it's so emotional, it really connects with that person who's a deep thinker and is self-reflective. So I think naturally we're quite drawn to each other, and they can understand my work really deeply, which is what I've always longed for. So yeah, it's special.
And I'm interested in influences. Who are your musical or otherwise? Who are your influences?
Um, well, it's funny because I wasn't necessarily brought up on a lot of music. My father is from Liverpool, so I grew up with the Beatles. My grandfather loved Frank Sinatra, so I think that's where some of my jazz comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I grew up in, you know, the 2000s, it was a lot of R&B and pop. So it's quite a mixture when it comes to music. But to be honest, I think my time in art school, it was always Andy Warhol and the way that he made the spectator feel when they were viewing his work, whether that would be his screen printing or his films. I wrote my dissertation on him and many essays. And yeah, I think visual art for me will always have quite a significant influence upon everything that I do and the way that I think. So I think when I was in art school, I kind of felt like, what am I doing here? When like I kind of know I want to be a musician, but I'm now really grateful that I had that, because I learned to think a little bit differently, which I think is one of my strengths as an artist now.
And Warhol, it's a fascinating influence because this was someone who also was an incredible visual artist, but hung about with lots of musicians. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, right through his life, even to later on, he was appearing in videos, Curiosity Killed the Cat and things like that. And his films, if people haven't seen them, they are not normal films, they're often pieces. I remember watching, oh, what's it called? I had to turn the TV on its side to watch it. And it was like a Empire State Building, would it be one of the buildings in New York? And it was kind of just filming that over a period of time. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just I really learned how to think about art in different ways from him, and just to combine different elements of art together to make things special. And I think when I was in art school, there was this fear of being too commercial. But what I loved about Andy Warhol is he did the mix of commercial and alternative, and he pieced it together. And obviously it was quite divided at the time when he was showcasing it. But now we look back and we just think, like, honestly, what a treat we were to have him, and what he did for the art scene is still so incredible. So yeah,
it was that really interesting time of pop, in inverted commas, pop art, where, you know, people were taking images, whether it was Marvel Comics or soup cans, or and turning them into these things. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a few things you've said that really strike with me, because one, Sinatra, absolutely, you know, Beatles, again, classic songwriters as well. And earlier on, you said that real instrumentation is important to you as well. Because I think what your music has got that kind of older feel to it, I would say, you know, that kind of feel to everything you do, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when I was young, I spent time in the school orchestra, played clarinet. So I have a bit of a classical background. And then obviously I love a lot of classic soul and jazz records too, like Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald. And I think also being a bit of a timeless romantic myself, like, there's just a vintage quality that I loved that felt so classic to me and always so timeless. So I think it's always kind of a reflection of the past, but just finding new ways to kind of showcase it and put my own spin on things.
Vintage is a really interesting word to use, actually, because I think there is that kind of feel, sepia tinted, you know, kind of something old movie starish, you know, that kind of feel as well.
Yeah, and also linking back into Warhol, like the Marilyn diptych, and it's funny because it's kind of like an art project for me that has gone on my whole life, of all of these influences that have always been there, and just each time just getting a little bit, you know, chipping away at it a bit more and just getting a bit closer to what it is that I'm trying to convey, and learning about myself each time. But yeah, it's always been there.
And so you're coming to kind of better understand yourself as you're doing everything and making music and releasing each single.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the purpose of making music. Is I'm just trying to process how I'm feeling, and, you know, hoping that the person listening can kind of get something from that as well. So yeah, it's not, I never write for radio or for press or anything. It's just trying to make the best song that I can that can feel something, and each time just getting a bit better and better and better with it. So yeah.
Again, I don't want to kind of look behind the screen and give away any secrets here, but do you have all the songs written and ready before you start to release them?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you choose which, you know, that must be quite difficult to decide, well, here's the first, like, for instance, in a moment, we're going to hear Caramel, which was the first single that you released recently. How was it, why do you think, yeah, that's the right one?
Caramel was the first song that I wrote for the new album.
Right.
And again, wrote it on this piano in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it just wrote itself. And it was like, I'll write a project and then I won't write anything for a year. So in that time that I come back, I'll usually have something to write about, and it will just happen. I had the same experience last week. I hadn't written for months, and I wrote one of the best songs that I've ever written. And it seems to be the process that works for me. Is I don't really think about it, and it just happens. I don't really do any co-writing or anything. Like, it's never a song a day. It's just, I'm just going to be at the piano and see, and then it just seems to happen. So yeah, with each album, it's just, Usually I've gone through something in my personal life and it's there and it just needs to come out. But they just write themselves, to be honest. It's never really that difficult.
So, in this could be a generalization, but the songs are written quite quickly.
Yeah.
But then you spend your time producing them. The production is where everything kind of it reminds me a little bit. If you talk to writers, they often say, "Well, I get the first draft down really quickly, but the novel or the story appears in the edit." You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Production. Well, it can depend. I mean, Venus for me took ages just because it's a complex song. Actually, Caramel took ages because it's so sparse.
Right.
That I had to make sure that all of the vocal runs matched the piano melodies, and the vocal had to be perfect because it was so, in your face and you could hear everything. I mean, with the last album, Love Bites was done really quickly. It kind of depends what's going into the song. I think with the orchestral stuff, it takes me a while just because with more kind of classical music, you can't get it wrong because you can hear it and it sounds off. And just writing on piano, I can do it quickly. And yeah, it's never that difficult. But the whole process for me, it's not difficult. It's just write it, spend a couple of weeks producing it, and then getting into the mix and turning things up and down. And yeah, it's kind of the nitty-gritty of everything there that takes forever. So
You mentioned earlier that you're a perfectionist. Is it difficult to then say, yes, that track is done, or does it feel natural?
I'd say it takes me a while. It kind of depends.
Right.
I think I'm quite fussy with the mix as well, just because my songs are quite focused on the vocal.
Yeah.
I have to just make sure that the vocal stands out enough from everything going on behind the vocal, and yeah.
I feel it might be quite painful just to say, okay, wait, that's done, move on to the next.
Yeah, I think because I've become really confident as a producer, it's allowed me to know so much about what's going on. That has made me actually more of a perfectionist, because I'm like, that needs to come down and this needs to move. So yeah, I think when I was younger, it was more like, yeah, it's fine. And I actually can't go back and listen to the first EP because there's just so much I would change. So yeah.
And we're talking about the level of production. We haven't spoken about playing live. Have you any plans to do live stuff?
I do. Well, this will be going out after my first gig back.
Right.
So, and then, yeah, we've got some cool stuff lined up further down the line that I can't announce yet. But it's, yeah, just really happy to see everyone liking the songs. So.
I'd love to hear the latest songs in particular live and see,
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I'm having the best time because I really enjoy just doing the vocal runs, and both Venus and Caramel in particular are really fun to do, and just leaning into that kind of jazz. So yeah.
Well, we're going to hear Caramel now, so people can look forward to that as well. Kohla, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this is Kohla and Caramel.